Hey folks, this is Impact Behind the Rumors. James Harshaw here with NKFabe. This is gonna be a weekly, bi-weekly show going over the rumors and answering your questions about Impact Wrestling. This could extend to other wrestling programs from time to time, but for the most part, it's going to be Impact. I have most access behind the scenes with Impact Wrestling. If you watch my introduction video, you'll know why. Free Chilies goes a long way with wrestlers. The way to anyone's heart is through their stomach. That's why I became a very popular restaurateur in the Cincinnati area. And by the way, if you do want to stop by a Chili's, we're doing the unlimited soup and salad still, so please stop by and enjoy your life. That's our saying for Chili's. All right, let's get right down to business. It's kind of been a busy week for Rumors and Impact because of the events last week with the event that they held with Lucha Underground and what transpired with one of their top talents, Alberto El Patron. So here's a rumor here: Alberto was set for a contract extension and a raise before he was fired. Now, of course, this is definitely true. Any top talent in a company that has their contract set to expire, obviously the company is going to want them back. Obviously, if they're a top talent like Alberto was, then it's very likely that he was going to get a raise to keep him on board. The E has always been high on this man, and there is no doubt in my mind that if he was a free agent, which he is now, then they would have been seeking him. Whether they're seeking him now because of the reason behind his firing, that's obviously going to be. It's just you got to weigh the cons as a wrestling company, whether you want that in your business. The chances of him no showing an E event are a lot less. Unfortunately, they keep sort of a tighter lock on those things, but obviously, if somebody in your company that you need for your company or would like for your company, like Alberto, somebody who's one of the top wrestlers in the world, and not only that, one of the most recognized names in the world in professional wrestling, obviously you're going to want to extend his contract, and most likely you're going to have to pay him more to do that. Alberto was okay. This is an interesting one. I've been seeing this a few places. And this is more of a conspiracy theory. Alberto was told not to attend by Impact because they wanted Aries as champion and they feared he couldn't beat Alberto. Um, this is interesting. Obviously, they brought in Aries from the E because he is a very charismatic figure. He's going to get people looking and watching and draw eyes to the product. And there is this idea that if Impact wants to keep him happy, then they're going to give him opponents that he can beat so that he can remain champion. Um, Obviously, I think this is not true simply for the fact that if they had told Alberto not to attend the event, then there's no way that they would have fired him later, unless the firing is fake. But I don't think they would have done that. Look, if they start doing things like that, they're going to upset the fans. You want the fans upset, maybe at a performer, but you don't want the fans upset at your company. So I don't think this is true. And besides that, this would have backfired on them hugely because maybe Aries couldn't beat Alberto, but he has definitely shown that he cannot beat Phoenix. Um, so you really have to, in that triple threat match, um, sorry, I'm just getting a call here. that's gonna have to wait. In that triple threat match, you had two people from Lucha Underground facing Aries. And maybe Impact thought, if this was the case, maybe they thought it could be an unbalancing force. You have the two guys from the rival companies fighting each other and not able to take on Aries because they're too concentrated on each other, but they work together. So if that would have been the case, then the match coming up is actually, it's proved to be more difficult for Aries. And it's going to be much harder for him to hold that title because he doesn't even have to be pinned. And like he wasn't during the event, he was knocked out. Pentagon Jr. pulled out the pin when Aries wasn't even in the ring because they double teamed him and got him out of that match. So this is actually, I think, a more difficult match for Aries. So if they were trying to keep him happy, this would not be the way to do it. And I don't think Aries wants that. I think he really does want to fight the most difficult opponents. So I think that's just rumor and speculation and not true. Okay, I've been seeing this one, and I see this a lot. Impact moving back to Mondays, more live events. Definitely not. Impact is in a position of growth, but you got to look at these guys that are running the company now. They want to take small baby steps. They want a good foundation. When Hogan and Bischoff came in, there was this idea that there was a solid foundation already, so let's make some bold moves. In the years that have followed, the foundation has deteriorated. They still have the talent. They still have some of the best professional wrestlers in the world. But the foundation for the company is very unstable. They're not going to make a move like this. They will be doing more live events. I've talked with some guys backstage about that. They want to do that. They want to get out in front of people again. And that's more stuff like what they did at WrestleCon with Lucha Underground, appearing at other people's events, and just get in front of people. It's a goodwill effort, really, for them. But definitely not going back to Mondays. They don't need to compete with the E. Rumor. Eli Drake passed over for title match against Aries. This one's interesting because Eli Drake is an obvious choice. He did get beat by Aries, but he was not focused on that match. He was not expecting it. He was not ready. So what better to prove himself and have Aries prove himself by having a real match again where they're both ready. I actually contacted Eli about this, and because I asked him about it. I mean, is this true? And he said that it was. And this is not for the reason you might be thinking. He was not afraid of facing Aries, but he really did want a set program. Hey, in a month, 2 months, 3 months, I will be the one facing Aries. Let me get my training in. Let me get in front of the people and make my case that I'm going to be the champion. He did not want to be a stand-in for Alberto, and I think that's a very valid thing. He's a prideful man. Eli is. And I think that makes sense. I mean, you're delaying your championship match, and maybe you lose your opportunity. But if you're going to do it, you might as well do it the right way. Okay, let's get to actually one more rumor. Scott Steiner returning to Impact full-time. No. Scott Steiner is an attraction. There's really nothing that he can do for the product. He's obviously a strong man, a good athlete, a good competitor. But if you have him going every day, then he's not going to be able to keep up with the young guys. And he's very expensive. Everybody wants to see the big bad booty daddy. So definitely not going to be returning full time, but you'll probably see him from time to time. And that's the way, I think that's the way most people want it. All right, we're going to get to some questions. That's enough for the rumors for now. Again, I'm open on my Twitter. Go ahead and send me questions if you have them, or send them on YouTube. This one's from Deepak88. Do you see Impact returning to the ratings that TNA used to get on Spike TV? Where they are now, I'm not sure. And if I've heard what's been said in some of these meetings on what they're trying to accomplish as far as ratings, and they're not trying to shoot for that yet. I mean, obviously, if they got it, they would be happy, but they understand, and they understand that the channel that they are on currently really can't sustain those numbers. You're not in enough households, and it's a difficult channel to show up and watch anything really. So no, I don't really see it for this foreseeable future. But really, if they build that foundation that I was talking about earlier, and improve their product, get a goodwill with the fans, keep presenting good athletes, then I think they could be on the way. Thanks, Deepak. This is another one from Deepak88. Would a Hulk Hogan return get more people interested in Impact? Yes, obviously. Obviously. Hulk Hogan is one of the biggest men in the industry ever. Ever. Whether or not wrestling fans want him to return, that's another question. Because I think a large percentage of fans do not want him to return. But would he get more interest? Would the ratings go up? Yes. Now, that would probably be temporary. Hogan, once people see him, once they see what he's doing, they're not going to keep tuning in. He's sort of a flash thing. He would bump the ratings for a while, but then they would return. And as far as creating the foundation for Impact, that's not the kind of moves you want to make. You want to make smart, consistent decisions. And something like that, not to mention, they don't have the money to get Hogan back. And I'm sure his price tag is not what it used to be, given things that he's been through and things that he's done. But still, it would be a waste of money, and I think it would be seen as ill will towards their fan base. So no, I don't see that. I don't see it happening. Johnny Q, what are the knockouts like backstage? And I've talked about this on the radio show before, that I have had some time with the Impact wrestlers, with the knockouts. The knockouts are very nice, all of them. You have women there that really care about the sport of professional wrestling, and they're really trying to prove themselves to a national audience, even to the point of, and you know this, that they're not paid a whole lot, and that's gotten better. But you really, it really means something when you're willing to do something and not get a huge paycheck for it. It means you really care about it. It means you really want to show what you can do. I think a lot of these women would like to be taken more seriously, and in Impact and before in TNA, through a lot of its history, this has been the place to do it. And places like the E have gotten better, but these women, just like anybody else, want to be the best. They're very nice, like I said. I wouldn't date any of them. I would never date anybody involved in professional wrestling. I did date Ellie Goulding for a matter of 6 months. Sensational pop star. Very beautiful woman. I had to break it off with her. She actually wrote a few songs about me. I can talk about that later. That's not really important. But that's just one of the perks. If somebody comes into Cincinnati, they're going to go to a Chili's most likely. And I have access to really the higher ups in our world as far as entertainment. But a beautiful girl. Really, really cared for her. But it just wasn't meant to be. The Great Gunther asks, what did you think of Dixie Carter? I never met her. I never got a chance to talk to her. I did see her in the building. But and she never came to the Chili's, believe it or not. I think she might be a vegetarian or something, which we do have very good vegetarian dishes. Nobody seems to order them. Go ahead and order the vegetarian dishes. But I really don't know her that well. I've heard good things and bad things mostly bad things, but I can't really answer that for you. Okay, listen, everybody, that's all we've got today. Later this week, we'll be doing a review of the next episode of Impact Wrestling. So stay tuned for that. And then hopefully next week or the week after, we're going to do another rumors and questions video. But send in your questions if you have questions about the incoming Impact, and I'll add it to that show. Thank you, everybody. That's it. I'm signing out. NK Fabe with James Harshaw.